Let's build and edit a responsive header in Elementor Pro. If you're looking for easy to follow Elementor tutorials, make sure you're subscribed by clicking below. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build and edit a responsive header using Elementor Pro. We're going to be using the theme builder, which is a feature that is specific to the Pro version of Elementor. Now, if you're using the free version of Elementor, you can still build a responsive header in a very similar manner, but you need to add a different plugin and things just happen in a slightly different way. So if you are using the free version of Elementor, I'm going to drop a video in the video notes down below where you can find the information for building a header with the free version of Elementor. But again, in this video, we're going to be talking specifically about building and editing a header in Elementor Pro. When starting a new website, building the header is one of the very first things that I take care of. And I do this because having a header and having a footer on the website, even before I go ahead and start setting up my global styles, is going to make the visual process smoother for me to see what I'm actually setting up and then get started building the website. So on the website that I'm working on now, I have already set up my global styles, and I'll show you how I'll manipulate those where necessary to make sure that the header looks how I want it to look. But just to note that this is one of the first things that I typically build on a website. As I mentioned, I'm going to be teaching you how to build this header using the Elementor Pro theme builder. And the theme builder is basically a repository of templates that will help you organize your site and make sure you always know where and how to access the templates that you need. So I have logged into the back end of my website, and I am going to go to hover over templates and then click on theme builder. Now, as you can see here, this is the default screen you will come to when you have not yet built any templates for your website. And the very first thing I'm going to do is click on this plus sign inside of the header box. And that is going to bring me to a new screen where I have the Elementor page builder pulled up. And if you followed along with any of my previous videos, you will know that I don't use the Elementor blocks or templates. They can be very bloated and they're not usually built to the standard that I want them to be built to, even if they seem really simple. So I always build from scratch, which means I'm just going to click this X and close out. Now, first up, I want to come down to settings and I want to rename this. It will get an automatic name, and I just think that if you don't rename these, it can be really confusing down the line. So I'm going to call this main header, but you'll want to use a descriptive title for however you feel like you'll be using this on the site. So for example, some people might make a transparent header and a header with a background, and those would be good descriptors to use here to differentiate between the two. But I'm just doing the main header, so that is what I want to call it. And I'm going to go right ahead and click the publish button. And when I click the publish button, it's going to ask me where I want to display my template. And this is very important. Setting these conditions is what's going to help it show up across the website. So I'm going to click add condition. And because this is my main header, it makes sense to set this to the entire website. That's all I have to do here. I'm going to click save and close. And now I'm ready to get started with building this. Now I'm ready to get started building my header. And the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click this plus button, and I am going to add a container which is set to direction row. I also know a few things that I want to change on this container immediately. So the very first thing that I want to change is I want to set to space between, because we're going to have two widgets in this container and we want there to be space between them so that they sit on either end of the container. I also want to click align center. I know that that's going to give us the right visual alignment where we need it as we start to pull widgets in. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I want to unlink the padding values. I want to get rid of any standard padding on this container. And I'm going to go ahead and put 6 pixels of padding on the top and bottom and 12 pixels of padding on the right and left, which is a standard size that I use for lots of the containers that I build, and go ahead and click update. And when I say standard sizing, I typically put 12 pixels of padding on just about every container if there is not already more than that. All right, so now that I have my layout set up here, I am ready to start adding widgets. And the two widgets that I'm going to be adding are the site logo and the WordPress menu. So I will drop the site logo in here. And as we can see, I think it's like 400 pixels wide when I drop it in. I am going to create a custom width by going to the Advanced tab, choosing Custom, and then choosing Pixels. And I'm going to make this 220 pixels wide, which is a much more reasonably sized logo. From here, I will go back to the main widgets screen, and I want to drag in that WordPress menu and drop it next to the logo. You can see there on the right-hand side of the container, it is dropping in over there because I've already set space between. So as I drop this in, it settles in with each element being as far to the left and then to the right as they can be because we have set there to be space between. From here, I'm going to click Update, and then I want to work on the styling of the menu itself, the navigation itself. So I'm going to click to edit the WordPress menu. And first up, I want to get rid of this pointer. I do not like pointers. I think they are kind of terrible. So that is number one. I'll just click Update, and you'll notice I click Update a whole lot. I do it after a lot of the changes that I make. It's just sort of a habit that I've gotten into, and it works out really well. The next thing that I know that I want to do is I need to set this mobile drop-down menu to full width. Otherwise, it's not going to look correct once we get to looking at the mobile responsive part of this build. So that is good to go now. And then I want to look at the styling. So I set up global settings on all of my sites, including global typography, which you can see here. And I have already set up what I want the header navigation text to look like. So I have clicked on this globe icon and I am going to press the header button. So that is what I want my header text to look like. And as far as colors go, I want the header text to be the same color as my buttons. I want the hover color to be the same color as my buttons hover, and I want the active color to just be, again, that main color. So if I hover over this, it turns green, and if I were actually to click through and land on one of these pages, they would all be blue again. There will be no color on the active page that I am on. Now, one thing that I'm seeing is that this still looks a little bit off center. So I'm going to come over here to the, as far as vertically off center. So I'm going to come over here to the Advanced tab, and I'm going to click Align Self Center. And that didn't actually change anything. I wasn't sure if it would because we had already set the container to be aligned center visually. So I am going to go ahead and do a negative margin on the bottom of this just till I feel like we've removed enough pixels that it is visually centered. I'm just removing 5 pixels of margin on the bottom. I think that looks much nicer. And that is as easy as it can be for creating a header within Elementor. The next thing that we want to do is, now that we have it looking how we want it to on desktop, we want to go down to the mobile responsive settings and check what it looks like on laptop, tablet, and mobile. And you're seeing that I have 4 breakpoints here because I have added the additional breakpoint of laptop. I add that on most sites that I build on right from the beginning because it can be really difficult to add a breakpoint in later on down the line when you realize you need one. So I just add that in from the start. So I'm going to click on laptop, and we can see that it looks very good on laptop as well. It is, enough spacing, everything is aligned how we want it to be, so this is good. Next up, we'll go to tablet. And on tablet, you will see that we drop down to the toggle style. So from here, let's click into this and let's work on the styling of this toggle. We're going to come to the style settings and then choose toggle button. Here, I want the main lines to be my button color, and I want the background color to match the background of the header itself. So I will go ahead and just choose this theme color 6, which I know to be white. And now we have a toggle over here that is the blue that we're using for all of the buttons on our site. And I'm gonna go ahead and make it just a little bit bigger. I think when there's no background on this, it's a good idea to add some additional sizing to it so it's really nice and visible. So I'm gonna make that 32 pixels. I'm gonna click update. And then on hover, similarly as I did with the text, I want to go ahead and click on the global color settings and choose this button's hover color. And on the background, we want to keep it white. So when I hover over it now, there is a green color that shows up on the hover. I'm gonna go ahead and click update one more time. And then I want to actually open up this menu so that I can see what is happening here. And as you can see, the spacing here is just a little bit off. I'm not entirely sure why that's happening, but we're gonna go investigate it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove that margin, but that actually seems to have made it a little bit worse, which is fine. I'm gonna leave it as is for now, and I'm gonna go back to styling. And I'm gonna go to the drop-down styles and see if I can't add a little bit of vertical padding here. Nope, that's not gonna do it. So then we will look, let's set that back to 0. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm gonna choose distance. And distance is what I need to move that down so that this menu is not overlapping the Elementor logo. So I'm gonna go ahead and click update. And now let's go back and look at the vertical padding settings. So if I want them closer together, further apart, remembering that people need to be able to click on these. So if items are too close together, it can actually cause issues for clicking on one versus the other. So a 10 to 12 pixels between them seems like a really good amount of space. Go ahead and click update again. And for the text, I want to match this to what we set on desktop. So I want the text color to be the same as my buttons. I want the background color to continue to be white. My typography, I want it to be set as my header text, which it looks like that was already pulling through. And on hover, I want to set the button's hover color to green, the background to white, and the active I will set to blue text and white background again. And now when I hover over this, much like it did on desktop, we are seeing that the color changes. Go ahead and click update here. And now I want to go down, now that I have it looking good on tablet, I want to go down to mobile. And the settings that I have set on tablet are going to be mirrored on mobile. So when we go to mobile at this point, it should be pretty well set up. Let's see how I did. There we go. So now you can see we've got the logo, we have the toggle button. I think that's a nice big size. I think that's looking really good. It hovers on, gives us that green color on hover. And when we click on it, it opens up this menu, which is nice and far away from the logo, not overlapping it. And on hover, we're getting that green color coming up for us. So that is everything that we need to do to set up this header. We've already published it. We've already set it to show up on the entire site. So that is all we need to do. And you now have a header that works across devices on your website. And it's simple, but it's exactly what you need in order to make sure that website visitors can find exactly what they're looking for on your website. Next up, let's discuss how we're going to edit the header once it's built on the website. Now that the website header is built, there are two main ways that I can edit it. The first is going to be accessing it from the theme builder, much like we did when we originally built the header. So in order to do that, we will go to Templates, Theme Builder. And now you can see we have this main header here. So I will go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to click Edit. I'm going to right click on Edit and open the link in a new tab. I like to do it this way because then I have my website dashboard, like I can click out of this and I have my website dashboard still available, but I'm also editing the header here. And as you can see, these are all editable elements, just like it was when we originally built this header a few minutes ago. However, there is one other way that you can access the header to edit it, and it makes it really, really simple when you are designing a page if you realize you need to change something in your header. So I'm going to close out of this main header editor, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard and click on Pages. Now, I already have a draft home page that has been started, and there's really nothing going on this page, but I set it up so that I could do some work on my global styles. So if I go to view this page or preview this page, since it's still a draft, you'll see there's really nothing here except for the header that I have built and the theme footer, which I will be changing later on, and which you should also be changing on your website later on. And I'll have a video that you can watch about that as well. But this is just the header that comes, or the footer that comes with the theme. So I'm going to click out of this and I am going to edit with Elementor, again, opening the link in a new tab. And this is going to open up the home page editor for me. And as you can see, I can drag and drop widgets in here if I would like to. But what I'm here to show you is that once you have a header built, you can actually edit it from any page that that header lives on or is displayed on. And elements that are templates that are on more than one page are going to be this sort of teal green color. And I can just go ahead and click into that. And now you can see that I have the editor open for the header specifically. And then when I want to move back to the page, it's going to be this pink color, meaning that that is specific to the page that I'm on. That's the content is specific to the page that I'm on. And I can go ahead and click edit page, and that takes me back to the page editor. So again, it is very easy to edit a header once you have it built from any page that it is displayed on. You do not always need to go back to the theme builder in order to access that header. So I just want to make sure you're aware of the different ways that you can access your header once you have it built on the website. And that's everything you need to know about building a simple responsive header in Elementor Pro. And if you made it all the way through this video and you're like, okay, that's cool, but I'm using the free version of Elementor, make sure you check out the show notes where you can find a link to a video on how to do this without Elementor Pro using the Elementor header and footer builder. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe to my channel to get notified of new videos coming out that teach you how to build better websites using Elementor and Elementor Pro.